ReefBum is sponsored by Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine.
I had an unfortunate and unnecessary accident with my 460-gallon tank. I had a bit of a phosphate issue in the tank. It had gotten crept up to about 0.16, and in the past I've used phosphate E from Brite to occasionally lower the phosphate quickly, and that's basically a diluted lanthanum chloride product. And for those that don't know, lanthanum chloride is a product that is also used in swimming pools. Basically, it binds to the phosphate and creates small particles that get filtered out of, in the case of a swimming pool, it gets filtered out in the pool filter. And in the case of an aquarium, if you use it, you need to run a filter after the area that you drip the lanthanum chloride into so that it filters out those particles. If you don't do that, the particles can get into the gills of fish and cause problems. I was aware of that, but I wasn't aware of how bad the problems can be. And as I said in the past, I used aquarium products for this, and they worked well for me. I didn't have any issues. But I found out both online and from a friend that you could use a product called Sea Clear, which is for pools, to do the same thing. And it is a lanthanum chloride, but it's much stronger than the aquarium products that we use. So basically, I calculated the appropriate dose based on others' experiences, set up my dosing last night to dose the amount that I wanted to lower it to my target range. It started the drip at about 3 p.m. last night, or yesterday I should say. I went to bed at about 11 and everything looked fine. And then this morning when I woke up and looked at the tank at 8 a.m., half of my fish were dead on the bottom of the 460. And so, of course, I panicked. I had no idea what caused it. I thought, you know, is this an equipment failure? Did something get into the water, foreign substance? Did somebody drop something into the water? I absolutely had no clue, but the furthest thing from my mind was that the lanthanum chloride would have been the problem, because I had used lanthanum chloride in the past, not this product, but other products, and it had been successful and caused absolutely no stress that I could see. So then I walked over to one of my frag systems, which I had also dosed, because the phosphate had crept up a little bit in there too. In both cases, the phosphate was not high enough where this was a necessary thing for me to do. I was just trying to keep things in my target range, more for, you know, to keep things the same and to keep everything running the way that I normally have it. When I looked into the frag system, I usually keep a few tangs in my frag systems to keep algae at bay and a few other what I call utility fish, and the tangs were on their sides dead. And then it occurred to me, what's the common denominator? Because these are completely separate systems, separate equipment, separate sumps, the whole works, and the common denominator was the lanthanum chloride. And then it was an aha moment. Obviously, the first thing I did was get the fish out that had passed, and then started water changes on the tanks. To this point in the day, I've done 120 gallons on the 460-gallon tank. I also fortunately had some 1 micron filter socks available to me, so I put those in the tank to filter out the particles which were causing the issue. And I was helped, but I have lost about half my fish at this point. I'll go through the list real quick just because, as it turns out, and I'll explain this in a minute or two, certain fish are much more susceptible to this issue than others. But the list of fish from the 460 that I lost, and the frag system, is that I lost a ruby red scooter, a flame wrasse, a regal angel,
Oh.
my male Watanabe angel, my female Watanabe angel, a large sailfin tang, 5 fox faces, a purple tang, 5 yellow tangs, white tooth bristle or white tail bristle tooth tang, a coal tang, hippo tang, and I think that's the total right now. So
You're getting a lot of
lots.
comments and condolences in the chat. People are just really bummed out about this, Bill.
Yeah, I am too, and I've never, I've been fortunate. I've never had anything like this ever happen to me. So this is I guess I kind of feel like I'm still in shock. I really am. It's obviously a very humbling experience. Like I said, as I was talking to you before the stream here, part of it was my hubris. It never occurred to me. Not even in the furthest reaches of my mind did I ever think that I was doing something that was going to harm the animals in my care.
Yeah.
And you know, there are some things that I've done in the past that I knew had some risk, and I knew there's risk with the lanthanum chloride, but I didn't think there was this kind of risk. I just never occurred to me. So this has been just a major shock. I'm pretty numb right now. It's been very sad. I hope that the remaining fish are going to be okay, and to this point they seem to be. They're swimming, they are eating, they seem a little skittish, but overall they seem to be okay. So I'm hoping that the worst is over, but that remains to be seen. But going back, to a little bit of our conversation earlier, I kind of want to. The reason that I wanted to talk about this today, instead of basically avoiding talking about something so painful, is that I think it can help some other people, maybe if they are contemplating using this product or really any product that is something or piece of equipment that you're going to put into your aquariums, and that's do the research. I did not, to be perfectly honest. I talked to a buddy who doses it. I did a little bit of research on calculating how much I should be dosing. But if I would have just, and I did this after the fact, I Googled, I killed my fish with lanthanum chloride. The very first thing that came up was Richard from Aficionado had this exact same scenario happened to him a couple of years ago. If I would have read that article, I would have never put this product in my tank. And he literally did almost the exact same thing that I did, which was he did some research, got his calculation down, set things up for what he thought was the appropriate way to do it, dosed it, and within an hour, problems started occurring, and he lost fish also. Not as many as I lost. Fortunately for him, he saw the problem pretty quickly and was able to start doing some water changes and try to rectify the problem. Mine, it was an extremely slow drip, and I think it reached a tipping point while I was asleep. So I did not see the problems occurring and was only able to react after the fact. In an aquarium, it's kind of a, you kind of have a little bit of a God complex because you're in control of their fate, and that's what I feel so guilty because it was an unnecessary mistake, and they're the animals are the ones that suffered, and yeah, it is. You're right. It's very emotional.
It rocks your world. So Rob from upstate New York is saying, so the effect from this was killing oxygen levels. That would be my assumption, right? Or is it
no,
not?
actually,
No?
what it does is the phosphate binds with the lanthanum chloride, and it creates small particles in the water. Those particles they're very small. I'm not exactly sure micron-wise what they are, but generally speaking, I found out that a lot of people use a 10-micron filter where they're dripping the lanthanum chloride into the tank, and that will filter out these particles. If the particles get into the water, they can actually get into the gills of the fish, and it suffocates them. So it's a horribly painful death. I assume also, which makes it even that much worse. So And that explains also why some fish lived and some fish didn't. The ones that are remaining, you would never know. They're fine, they're eating, they're swimming around. So it's not like if you put a poison in the tank, or if you have ick or something like that, where it's a slow thing and you can address it. It's pretty sudden.
Right.
And so, as far as I know, it's actually a physical ailment, not an actual poisoning or anything like that. So, yeah, that's
So,
it's
I've heard, some reefing friends, say, hey, I'm dripping lanthanum chloride. And I was like, hey, that's not for me. And I've also heard
right.
folks on the commercial side of the business, doing it because they have such large systems and they need,
Right.
a lot of giddy up to get, phosphate out of the systems. What, I mean, so you're basically done, never using lanthanum chloride again. I'm assuming, but
Yeah,
is this something
you know,
that reefers should really, think twice about doing it,
I
even if
think
they've
that
had success doing it once before?
Well, I think that it's not so much don't ever use it. I could definitely not say, because I think a lot of people have used it successfully to accomplish what they want. What I would say, and what I didn't do, is just do in-depth research on what are the risks, what are the appropriate ways to do it. I set it up what I thought was appropriate, but I'll have to be honest, I was very cavalier about it, because not only had I used the aquarium products with lanthanum chloride in them previously with success, but also because a friend of mine is doing it and has not had any problems. He has similar fish to me, and his display tank is over 300 gallons, so it's a larger tank. Um, I also, know of a lot of other people that have used it successfully. So I wouldn't say don't use it. What I would say is know the risks and make sure that you have it set up so that there's as little possibility of an issue as can be. In my case, I thought I was good. I dripped it before my filter floss. I use filter floss in 7-inch filter cups on this tank, and it was also before my skimmer. So my thinking was the floss will get most of it, the skimmer will get the rest. I shouldn't have a problem. I was clearly wrong. The floss probably didn't take much of. I mean, I'm sure it took some of it out, but not nearly enough. And in hindsight, if I was going to do it, I should have been dripping it into at least a 10 micron filter sock. And since I have them, I have 1 micron filter socks, which aren't easy to find, but I have them. That would have been probably the ideal way to do it. But like you said, once bitten, twice shy. I
Yeah.
have no plans of ever using it again.